Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely fascinating from the source material, the historical, and honestly, the very modern use of botanicals in cancer therapy. We're talking about how nature's own defenses, including things you might literally pull from your garden as a weed, like stinging nettle, are being rigorously studied and utilized in the fight against some of our most complex diseases. So it brings up this massive, compelling question, right? Could the answers to modern, multi-targeted diseases actually be rooted in the ancient wisdom of the natural world? For decades, we've poured unbelievable resources into synthesizing new chemical cures in a lab. But now, researchers are increasingly looking back at plants that have survived and thrived for millennia. Here's our roadmap for today. First, botanicals in cancer therapy. Second, the power of phytochemicals. Third, stinging nettles' healing properties. Fourth, mistletoe, the undisputed king. And finally, the future of natural treatments. Let's get into it. Section 1. Botanicals in Cancer Therapy. The sources present a really stark contrast here. On one hand, we have conventional treatments, things like chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And look, they are currently our most effective, heavy-hitting modes of management. But, as we know, they often come with severe off-target toxicities, those brutal side effects that can just devastate a patient's quality of life. On the flip side, botanicals offer a multi-targeted approach. Because they have such a diverse structure, they're actually associated with much lower toxicity, and they work synergistically within the body. The texts point out exactly why this matters. Cancer isn't just one simple thing. It's a deeply complex, multifactorial disorder. It disrupts cell connectivity and signaling on so many different fronts all at once. So treating it naturally requires agents that can hit multiple targets simultaneously. You need something that addresses all those changes in the cell's signaling machinery at the exact same time. Section 2. The power of phytochemicals. Now, when we say botanicals, you might be picturing some rare vine deep in the Amazon, but you don't always have to look to exotic rainforests. Everyday foods, I'm talking broccoli, onions, common fruits, are absolutely packed with antioxidants called phytochemicals. These are essentially microscopic defenders that protect our cells from highly reactive free radicals. Just eating high amounts of leafy greens and cruciferous veggies provides powerful healing properties by actively cooling down systemic inflammation. Take carrots and parsley, for example. The sources highlight that these everyday veggies carry a potent compound called volcarinol. Out in nature, volcarinol protects the growing plant from fungus. But when we consume it, it acts as an immune booster with documented anti-cancer properties. It literally suppresses cancer pathways. Specifically, it targets the Notch pathway, which is a communication channel in cells that goes totally rogue in leukemia, breast, colon, and cervical cancers. The data from the sources is incredibly specific. Whether it's broccoli reducing inflammation, carrots using that volcarinol to selectively trigger colon cancer cell death without harming healthy cells, or grapeseed inhibiting cell division enzymes by up to 50%. We're not just talking about vague wellness claims here. We're talking about specific active compounds targeting malignancy right at the cellular level. Section 3. Stinging nettles' healing properties. Okay, let's really zero in on a major focus for us today, stinging nettle. Historically, the ancient Greeks relied on nettle mostly as a simple diuretic and laxative, but the modern literature frames it entirely differently. Today, it's identified as one of the best available blood purifiers. It's not just a localized fix. It has this massive, wide-ranging systemic influence across the body, including direct influence over the pancreas, which is, of course, absolutely vital for our metabolic health. And the cited medical promise is huge. Nettle has been studied extensively and shows incredible potential across a massive spectrum of diseases. It acts as a heavy-hitting systemic anti-inflammatory. We're talking about lowering blood sugar for diabetes management, treating urinary tract illnesses, showing distinct promise in treating prostate enlargement, and, crucially for our discussion, treating cancer itself. I want to really highlight this explicit connection in the text. By stating that nettle shows promise in treating cancer, the sources are actively positioning this common, honestly kind of annoying stinging weed as a formidable tool against serious malignancies. It is the perfect example of a humble plant being completely reevaluated for profound, potentially life-saving properties. Section 4. Mistletoe, the undisputed king. Now, shifting from nettle, the research absolutely does not hold back when it comes to mistletoe, explicitly labeling it the undisputed king of natural cancer medicines. And that's not just a casual, bold claim thrown out there. It's backed up by over a century of clinical usage and real-world observation in treating patients. To back up that crown, consider this staggering number. There are over 2,600 published scientific papers analyzing mistletoe as a natural cancer therapy. Over 250 of those reflect modern North American scientific thought. So to put that into perspective, it is by far one of the most expansively researched natural therapies in existence today. So how exactly does the king work? The text explained that mistletoe acts as a true immunotherapy. It has multiple actions on your native immune system. Basically, it increases natural killer cells' cytotoxicity, which is a fancy way of saying it empowers your own body to actively seek out and destroy cancer cells. Plus, it significantly improves the overall quality of life for patients by alleviating that intense fatigue and the standard side effects of conventional treatments. And this part is absolutely critical. It addresses a massive hesitation that a lot of doctors and patients have. Mistletoe does not inhibit chemotherapy. Instead of interfering with standard care or blocking it, mistletoe actually works right alongside it. The texts even point out that in some cases, it shows an additive effect, weakening the tumor cells even further when combined with chemo. Talk about a real game changer. Section 5. The future of natural treatments. But of course, there's a catch. The texts outline a massive structural and economic issue at play here. The pharmaceutical industry prioritizes isolating single compounds so they can make molecular modifications. Why? Because a natural plant, in its raw, natural form, simply cannot be patented. So billions of dollars are poured into synthetic compounds to recoup massive research and development costs. And that dynamic severely limits the funding available for large-scale research into whole herbs like nettle or mistletoe. But here's the rub. The sources argue that taking a single synthetic isolate deprives the patient of what's called synergistic activity. A live plant contains hundreds of accompanying vitamins, minerals, and compounds that all work together in perfect harmony. The true healing power of a botanical is the result of that unique combination, that synergy. And that is something that just cannot be perfectly replicated by a single isolated chemical in a lab. So, what does this all mean for us? As we wrap up this explainer, we're left pondering a massive shift in perspective. Perhaps the ultimate solution to cancer doesn't lie in choosing a side. Maybe it's not synthetic conventional treatments versus natural botanicals like nettle and mistletoe. Maybe the true path forward is masterfully combining them. Could the real healing be found in integrative oncology, where the targeted science of the lab finally meets the synergistic healing of the earth? It's a fascinating thought to leave you with, and definitely something we need to keep exploring.